just caught me casually renovating my new home. Would you like to see inside? This is very exciting. I know that for especially a lot of our friends in Australia, you love a good renovation. Renovation is truly Australia's national sport. It's the only Australian sport in which I'm genuinely interested. So please join me. Let's be sportsmanlike. Come on in. So first, we have the Genkan. Behind me is the clean zone. So wherever you see wooden floor, that's where you shouldn't wear shoes. If you see tiles or stones, that's probably an indication that shoes are to be worn to that point. And then when you step up, then we take off the shoes. I have naked tootsies, don't look. Everything's so dirty in here at the moment. I'm not wearing my lovely kimono tabi because there's just renovation dust everywhere. So we have a box for shoe storage. We have a place for displaying seasonal decorative items and a gorgeous internal window to the first bedroom or living space. Take your shoes off and come inside. We have here the entrance hall and a gorgeous mid-century semi-floating staircase. At the moment, the tatami mats, the traditional Japanese grass mats, are stored underneath the stairs because we are about to have a termite treatment. So we had to pick up the mats. So, welcome. This is our gorgeous tea room. You can just imagine how it's going to look when we put the grass mats back. There is a big hole in the floor. In this room there was some kind of historic damage, a little bit of water, and there were some signs of a termite incursion. However, we checked the main foundations and anything that had been damaged was already replaced by the previous owners, and the core structural beams which hold up the walls are 100% okay. So we've opened up the floor to make sure that the termite treatment inspectors can easily get in tomorrow. Something that was really shocking for us as Australians was how thin the floorboards are and how far apart the floor joists are. So the main foundational hardwood pieces, the bearers, which go under the wall, they are familiar to us. And then you have the floor bearers, which in this case would run in the same directions as the floorboards. And running opposite to that direction are the floor joists. They are extremely thin in Japan. One reason could be that Japanese people are a lot lighter than most Europeans. This feels a little bit strange. There's actually a lot more movement in these floorboards because they're nailed, and we need to put some replacement nails in. In this section here, there's no significant movement in the floor because fresh modern screws have been put into these pieces of board. So we're just going to add some extra screws to stop that movement. And then the other important thing with the load distribution is that the tatami grass mats will go on top of this, and then 90 centimeters by 180 typically, and they have a stiff board underneath them. So when you're walking around, the load gets distributed through those broad pieces. But I have to admit, opening up the floor after being used to joists being a minimum of 45 centimeters apart, when you see this and when you see how thin they are, it is scary. I was going to gracefully slide that down. There we are. So we have gorgeous movable paper screens so that you can appreciate different views. If you're sitting on the ground, you can enjoy the lower view, or if you want more light to come in when the sun is higher, you can move these. In winter, you can use these screens to block out some of the outside cold, but then also appreciate the view of snow on the ground, although that's not really going to happen where we are here. Have a look at the ceiling. This room has been fully appointed as a gorgeous tea room. There's really nothing to add. You have beautiful traditional windows. These doors have these traditional locks in them. Come out. You can see the garden, which is in a state of mid-renovation at the moment. So there was a deck out there, which is perhaps 20 or 30 years old. Prior to that more modern deck being put in place, there was a stone area originally here, which is more of a traditional design. So we're thinking more on the side of restoring the house to a more traditional tea garden outdoor area rather than renovate that old deck. And of course, if you turn around, every tea room needs its tokonoma, a space which is sacred and is there to display and honor important items and items of arts and crafts. And also, there is a spiritual element to this space as well. Depending on the person, the meaning can be a little bit different for everyone. But usually, you need some kind of empty space to display flowers, hanging scrolls, vases, seasonal knick-knackery perhaps, little statues and things to celebrate holidays such as the Festival of the Dolls or the Tanabata Summer Festival. Every month and season has a special theme and you can decorate to that. We're really lucky because this is a big tokonoma. It's very, very large. Certainly not everyone is fortunate enough to have one which is this large. Everything is already in place, including the special hanging fixtures for hanging scrolls, although we do need to stain the bottom piece here, which is quite new. Every collector needs storage space, and if you love tea ceremony utensils, you need a specialized closet. And in this case, it's not always the case. This room comes with a storage closet. This season is cherry blossom season. So I found an adorable cherry blossom teacup. I want to say chawan, tea bowl. That's how we say it in English, tea bowl. I'm really not very good at Japanese, but I am coming to the point where I have forgotten a few English words. So that's encouraging. Let's have a look at the other rooms on the first floor. I almost forgot the best part, and don't worry, I'm wearing my washable polyester kimono, so I know it is very dusty down here, but have a look at this. It is a fixture which carries gas right into the room so that you can attach it to a gas burning heater. The culture of burning raw gas and burning kerosene inside is very everyday in Japan. Everybody does it. There's nothing strange about it. It's very popular and cheap. As an Australian, let me know in the comments if you're from Australia or another country how you feel about gas. It really freaks me out. The idea of just having gas pipes directly into the room and setting it on fire. Anyway, we've had the gas guys, and yes, they were guys. We've had the gas guys cut this off because that is absolutely terrifying to me. Welcome to the haunted room. It's just a little bit haunted. We just need a new starter for the fluorescent light here. This is actually a really nice room, and I know that a lot of you were anxious to see inside the house, and I promise that when we first bought the house, it did look quite lovely. It looks very scary right now, but all we've done is pull up the flooring, and where there are traditional grass mats, it's a pretty simple procedure just to put them back, but it looks like a complete horror show in here right now. So again, we've opened up a hole in the floor because very soon the termite treatment guys are coming, and they're going to limbo their way under the floor joists and apply a protective coating. And the way these houses are structured is quite different to what we are used to in Australia. There are chunky concrete foundations that encompass the perimeter of every main room, and then in the middle there are stumps which hold up the floor joists and bearers, and then they sit on top of flat rocks. That's very useful because there are many earthquakes which occur every day in Japan, and those rocks have the ability to allow the stumps to slide over them a little and move with sympathetic movement. So it's really interesting to see that native construction, that traditional style. This room should have a god living in it, but it doesn't right now. But up there is the kamidana. There's no god in residence right now. So at some point we will buy a sacred abode for the god of the house, and it will go up on that shelf and it will be blessed, and then an amulet will be put inside it, but we haven't done that yet. So right now this house is bereft of a god. We'll fix that. Welcome to the kitchen, we've got lots of food. Something, was that cool? That was so cool. Welcome to the kitchen. It's quite a nice kitchen, and as we bought it, it's pretty much ready to go. It has a retro dark brown laminate on the original cabinets, beautiful steel bench tops. I love this so much. In Australia, over the last 20 years or so, it has become fashionable to have a sink with no draining space. There's nowhere to put dirty dishes. There is nowhere to put clean dishes. I don't understand this fashion, but usually Australian houses would have a drainer, hopefully on both sides. That's really nice. We had that in our old house. But in Japan, usually you have one enormous sink and then no draining space, no prep space, nothing. In this way, this house is a little bit different, a little luxurious. It does have a big sink, although this is not the biggest sink I've seen in Japan, but it has a drainer. And it does have a prep space, although we need to create some kind of shelving for the toaster, oven, and the microwave. Because in Japan, it's very typical not to have an oven at all, no oven. Usually people have a little toaster oven, but there is no hardwired oven. On top of here is where you usually put a gas stove. So you would be burning gas on top of here, but we've chosen an electric model. My personal preference is that I'm just not very keen on gas. I don't like the fumes that are inside. I grew up in electric only households, no gas fixtures. And also, John, my beautiful husband, has no sense of smell. So a couple of times when we were renting, one of our cats jumped up on the stove and turned on the gas, and John couldn't smell it. So this is no gas inside. We've bought this really nifty little electric hot plate. We've gone with a made in Japan black fridge, and the range hood that came with the house still works really beautifully. Over here, oh, it's so beautiful! There actually is a really lovely view to a gorgeous garden outside, but it's rainy today, so you can't really see it. This is a nightmare. Come have a look. Come have a look at this floor. Have a look at this floor. The people who sold us this house were lovely. but I have some questions for them. When we first walked into this house, we were convinced that the kitchen floor had been eaten by termites because it was completely springy and spongy. When you walk on a floor that feels like a jumping castle, it usually means that you need to do a re-leveling of the floor, or that termites have just turned the underfloor structure into a sponge. Not the case. The floor is excellent. That pile of stuff over there is hiding a hole in the floor because we had to cut through layers and layers of floor to make a hole. Should we look at the hole? There's a story to the floor. The flooring here is very, very thick because instead of taking up old flooring when there was a renovation, the previous owners just added more plywood on top. So there's a big floor sandwich there. This floor is actually extremely strong and there has been no sign of compromise by termites. But here we see a kind of literally like a polyester quilting has been glued to the floor. That's why the floor felt spongy. When whoever did this floor, I don't know whether it was professional or DIY, but the day they laid this floor, the world ran out of glue. So much glue was put on here. We may need to scrape this off with solvent. Short of ripping up the entire floor and putting new ply on, I'm not sure what we can do. But they glued this spongy layer. There's a certain cultural, generational trend where certain generations of Japanese people seem to really love a soft floor. Like the traditional straw matting, I guess, but it is a real trip walking on this spongy floor. I don't dig it, it makes me nervous. This floor, although it's not very old, it has to be completely torn up because we needed to make an access hatch for termite treatment and it's spongy and it's just weird. And over here, we have the bathroom sink. It's very usual in Japan for the bathroom sink to be outside of the bathroom. This traditional design of sink also doubles as a mizuya, a place, especially for tea ceremony, where you can prepare and clean implements for tea ceremony. So in there is the tea room. Before taking certain utensils into the tea room, you could prepare them with this water, and then when you're finished with them, you can bring them here and place them in this sink and then clean them from there. Who loves a toilet? The toilet's everyone's favorite place, right? I mean, I'll take them or leave them. I mean, you have to have one. But it's a pretty old toilet. The toilet seat needs repair. We've got some maybe early 80s faux pink marble wallpaper, but everything's all in pretty good condition. Nothing much to see there. Now we come to the bathroom. To reach the bathroom, we first must step over the hole in the floor. Again, there was no access under the floor to do a termite inspection. So we've had to rip up part of the floor and then we'll replace that and create a hatch later. Stepping past that, just mind your step. We have the bathroom. Most modern Japanese bathrooms in newer houses or apartments have a unit bath, which is a full set of plastic panels which encompass a shower area and then a bath with a reheat motor in it so you can suck the water in and out to keep it hot. This is an older style. You have the shower and you make yourself clean in the shower first and then you get into the bath. As you can see, it's all very generously proportioned. We can confirm that there is plenty of room for 2 people in this bath. Very exciting. This house was originally designed as an okiya, a place where geisha could live and train together. So having this big bath, it would have been shared. People, members of the household would have come in to take their shower and then take turns using the hot bath water. After that, it was used as a family home, so the children and the parents would have taken all of their baths together and then separately. Then it was a second home for that same family, and we should be probably the third owners by now. So, it's you and I, John. This bath is for us. This brings us to the conclusion of the first floor tour. Join us again another time and we'll show you what's upstairs. And we'll do that on a sunny day because the views are spectacular. I promise you will see mountain, sea and city views. Thank you.